2, 3, and okay, enough of that. I just wanted also to show that I had time to make my bed there while I was playing my song. I was just kind of doing it with my feet. Maybe you didn't notice it, but I've developed a lot of coordination from practicing so much here. That's better. I wanted to talk today, but before I do, because I'm going to probably sound a little bit political, and I don't mean to, but we can't help but sort of have our position on things. And I get along actually quite well with one of the other people here in this, with most of the people here in this building, but this one neighbor that I have, we just have one difference, and it's with American politics, that he prefers Republicans. And we got into a little bit of an argument, a friendly argument the other day, where I was telling him the Republicans don't care about human rights, and he said, well, that's just your experience. And he is right, it is my experience. I didn't think it was just my experience, because I think too that all the people who count on the truth about my music and poetry and everything are also, their rights are also being dismissed in my case. But what he meant by that was that he had a bad experience with Obama, and that's why he favors the Republicans. So it just depends which party messes with you, I guess, which party hurts you more, that puts you on one side or on the other when it comes to politics, and just making your choice there. And when I'm writing my news bulletins, like that one I wrote about, the more recent one I posted last year, and I mentioned about how the poor, they're going to solve the problem, the housing shortage, by letting the poor die of overcrowding. You know, that's from living in kind of lower rental housing and always hearing about the housing shortage, always, constantly, for like the last 20 years. It's always, there's a housing shortage, and it seems like this crowding problem that they're using is almost like deliberate, you know, to try to kill these people with overcrowding. I'm sure that that's not really the case, but you know, it's just kind of an example of me venting, and that's why I do my news reports, to kind of get it off my chest. And I first started writing these news bulletins in 2007. I went on a kind of one-man campaign to show people that the news could just be one person just pumping out all these stories a lot of the time, not necessarily fact, but just someone's opinion or someone's fantasy even. And then I started, then I erased that account, the whole blogger account, but then I started rewriting them when I was doing those nightcast episodes in nightcast blogs in my Card Parties blog. And as I rewrote them, I would rewrite Saturday Night Live weekend updates. And then I started remembering how I pumped out a whole bunch of these news bulletins in 2007, like, you know, 100 of them or something. And each time I would do it, they would grab the material and put it in their weekend update. But if you look at my nightcast news reports, there are less stories, usually just 3 stories in those ones. But they are usually consistent with their quality. If you look at any of my posts, you'll see it's consistent in quality, where that might not have been the case on those weekend updates if they were inserting my material in with theirs. I don't know. So this one is a good one to talk about. It's September 8, 2012 nightcast here from the Card Parties, because it shows how they changed the meaning of my work when they took it, when they divided it up for their own purposes. In this one, I'm making a point about how the sponsors have total say over the content of the broadcast, because one of the sponsors is a terrorist, and we end up in the broadcast with this story that says, you know, the terrorist group Hezbollah may actually be right in their quest to push the nation of Israel into the Dead Sea forever. They put that in the broadcast because their sponsor was Hezbollah. The other thing they said, people are not driving their cars enough. They put that in their broadcast because the sponsor was also Mexico Premium Unleaded. And then finally, drinking coffee with a lot of whitener is good for you. Their first sponsor is a coffee whitener company, where the guy is telling this story with his dog, and he goes to pat his dog, and the dog nibbles on his fingers a little bit. Probably from the dust of the cow bones on his fingers. That was with these in 2012. This is when I started recalling weekend update crimes. It's a while ago now, 2012. Time flies. This one here where the network staff are on strike and the executives come in to do the newscast. Conrad Reese, the executive, I saw it on Saturday Night Live, September 15, 2012. I rewrote it. Just rewrote it without like having forgotten seeing it after I wrote it the first time. Like so much of my work. I don't know if I saw it on TV or on the internet, but they took a lot of it, and then I swear I just rewrote all this out of my imagination and only detected the fraud after I rewrote it, detected the fraud that had been committed after I rewrote it, and remembered the past experience of writing it at that point. Where I talk about how they make a change for tax purposes, for religion, and hail Neptune, he's a yachtsman, of course, upper class person. Let's see, about September 22nd. Oh yeah, that one about where they hear the Indians and the galloping horses in their heads. I think I remember them taking that one. I used it here in September 22nd nightcast. They don't really have a lot though, these nightcasts are compared to Balloon Bulletin. And I did my top stories then too. I was doing top stories and detecting more fraud when I was doing top stories in 2013. More news bulletins. Top stories. Like this one, First Manned Expedition to Mars, March 26, 2013. I'm free. First Manned Expedition to Mars. They can't get the ship. It turns out that Mars has gold. The ship can't leave. It's too heavy. It can't leave Mars's gravity. I think they might have taken that one. But these ones, even these ones, don't have a lot of content compared to my later ones. In 2015, Balloon Bulletin have usually 5 stories, rather than just 3, as are the case in these top stories from 2013. And maybe we'll just move ahead now to Balloon Bulletin. See if we can spot some more that they call me a hack. I just helplessly rewrote it from my imagination the same way I wrote it the first time. I don't know if they took this the first time, but I thought it was funny. August 2nd, 2015, Balloon Bulletin, the Shakespeare Festival, Scribbler in the Sand. It's actually barred on the beach. Here. A group of militant Baconites confronted another group of Drakeites. The Baconites think that William Shakespeare stole his plays from Sir Francis Bacon. The Drakeites believe that Sir Francis Bacon owed money to Sir Francis Drake. It took a whole brigade of papal guards to get the situation under control. Shakespeare in the Sand. Angry words were exchanged, and the stage manager was challenged to a duel. Then on November 14, 2015, I don't know if they use this. The rise in supernatural disasters around the world may be due to the internet. A geological investigation can find no other cause for last week's hail of fire and brimstone. As online content approaches apocalyptic levels of depravity, citizens trapped indoors must limit their recreation to watching DVDs. Now this one here, I don't know if they took it or not, November 21st, 2015, if it's old or new, but it is an example of how I get started on these news reports where I just need to let off steam. Like, today on the Balloon Bulletin, the opening decades of the 21st century unveiled a technological milestone as modern mass communications enabled the entire world population to think and act simultaneously for the first time in history. At long last, we can all at once agree that we are deeply dissatisfied. The idea of getting together in a group to all get together and share an event is largely, I think, what drives broadcasting, what keeps it going. That people do need to get together and share experiences together as a big crowd, and feel a popular trend, feel it, and they get a kind of power trip from this, I think, and they are able to identify themselves with their peers through these events. And I think that's largely what TV is about, and broadcasting is about. It's about sharing an event, with the crowd. It's not altogether about the content that you're watching. That would be the case if you're looking at something that you've chosen for yourself, and you're the only one, or at that time, who chose to watch it at that time, and you feel like you're all alone with this. With TV, it's different. You feel like you're with all your friends, you're with all your peers and your whole generation, sharing this event, sharing this experience, and whether the content is good or bad. And this event could be something like Christians getting thrown to the lions. That's what it was for the Romans. Or it could be a dictator getting up and talking about how we need to commit genocide. And that was what it was in the 1930s. Very popular shared event. And since modern broadcasters have sort of taken the Nazi model, I think, at least technologically, for their own kind of design, or to sort of as their to construct their own broadcasting system, I think, based on that design, taken this model as their own, adopted it, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe the event that people are sharing is not always good. Maybe we should be careful about what we want to share with our peers. Well, I could keep talking about this problem, seeing my work, remembering seeing it on the internet with TV stars acting it out, especially these news bulletins. There are many more examples that I could show you. The 2-ton elephant, Daisy, slipping in the zoo, the pornography poll, where they couldn't get anyone to admit that they'd looked at the pornography. But I have my own event to do now, and it involves going out to hang out with my crowd. And my crowd, we call ourselves a murder when we get together with me, and actually it's not me, it's but another guy who lives here, but they know him, they follow him anywhere. So I'll just take you out now with some more music.